Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? How is everybody doing? Hope you're doing good. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you feel me? Awesome. So, welcome back. Sorry I lied to you guys. I lied right to your little face. Right to your sweet little face. I said I was going to do a video yesterday, and I didn't. But, look at this. See this? Look at the quality we're talking about here, okay? The merch is looking unbelievable. So looking forward to getting this available to you guys over the coming days here once we get the Shopify website all set up. But we're going to be giving this stuff away, hats, that kind of shit as well. So if you're trading on Breakout, every month you're going to be eligible to win some of that merch as well. So I hope all of you guys made some money, man. Because we sniped the Pico, Schmico, Chico, Bobico lows on Bitcoin here. If you want to talk about precision, just go look at Twitter, Telegram, everywhere that I posted it. But what was happening, right? What was happening down here? So let's, step back. We'll do it from the high time frame down. But we nailed this bottom on Bitcoin. So hopefully some of you guys were able to get in on this trade because this is an absolute fucking ripper here. Almost 10% in like 2 days. So there was two separate setups that I was looking to trade on Bitcoin here. And we talked about them in Friday's video. Whatever the last video I did, I don't remember. I think it was on Friday. It might have been on Friday. It might have been on Thursday. I don't remember. But when we were trading here, I basically said, I think we're going to run this low into these two levels here. So this is that weekly fair value gap. So everyone's always like, man, these fair value gaps, they work. They work. Whether or not you like ICT or you think the concepts are fucking stupid, the last time we came into this fair value gap, we got a massive bounce. And then we had a low here sitting within that fair value gap. And so what did I say? I said, if we come back and tag this fair value gap, this is where I think you want to look for long. So if you go on Telegram, I posted it on Twitter. I talked about it on stream. We basically were looking for this weekly low to get taken out before bounce. And that's exactly what happened here. So that alone was enough for a setup. You could have longed the fair value gap as soon as we closed through here, and you could have made some money. So whether you longed at 100, maybe you waited until it dug into the fair value gap a little bit, but you could have longed this fair value gap, had your stop down here. You could even have your stop right below the fair value gap if you wanted. Wouldn't have gotten stopped out. And that's setup number one. Setup number two, which I also posted about for you guys, was once we had the weekly SFP, we had the H12 SFP, we had a picture perfect H1 entry. So if I just remove all these drawings for a second and we just mark out this low, right? So this is your H12 low, which we closed, right, as an SFP. H12 low, closes an SFP, and then you had this H12 low, closes an SFP. And once the whole Israel-Iran situation was kind of happening, where we were having the bombs go off, and then we had the ceasefire, right? And then there's no ceasefire. Oh, there is a ceasefire. Oh, JK, we don't believe in the ceasefire. JK, on your JK, we do believe in the ceasefire. We had basically a picture-perfect H1 trigger, right? Where you have your breaker, you have your MSB level, There's your sweep, low, structure break, retest, and go. And so I posted this on Twitter like right here. And I'm like, this is exactly where you take the long. And up only since then. Now, why did this specific H1 entry give us this massive of a reaction? We're talking almost 10%. Why would this specific one give us that really big reaction? Because, right, high time frame context. Always got to go back to the high time frame context. This isn't just an H12 sweep and an H1 entry just anywhere in the chart. We have a weekly low. We have a weekly fair value gap. We have a weekly SFP. And then within all of this, we have an H12 SFP. And then we have the H1 breaker, SFP, MSB. So all the way down to the 1 hour chart, we're that granular, where we're at the hourly chart, but we have all of this high time frame confluence behind us. So anytime you enter a trade on the low time frame and you say, well, how come this H1 entry did fucking 5R and, you know, this H1 entry that I took over here barely moved up and maybe it gave me 2R or didn't work at all? This one has the high time frame backing it, pushing it forward. Right? So you can think of it as you're riding, you know, a skateboard or a longboard down a hill. And the hill that you're on is the same as the hill that this other guy's on, right? Same hill, same steepness. But this other guy happens to have fucking a rocket ship attached to the back of his skateboard. So while you're going down the same hill, your perception, well, my hill is as steep as his hill. You're both on the same time frame. This guy has something more powerful behind him. That's the high time frame. Anytime you have the high time frame in line with your low time frame idea, these are the types of moves that you're going to get. These are the types of moves that you're going to get. When you get the high time frame confluence with the low time frame, that's when you get the strongest moves. That's when you get the moves where it's like, damn, this thing fucking instantly V-reversed on the low time frame. The H12 chart here is literally a red candle and then a bigger green candle. Went from looking like dog shit to looking amazing. And this is why. Because if you zoom out here, we didn't just have this low time frame entry. All of that low time frame entry occurred within the context of a high time frame area of demand, being the fair value gap on the weekly. So this is more than just a H12 H1 setup. This is an H12 H1 setup with a weekly SFP, within a weekly area of demand. And that's why we got that really, really strong strong reaction there. SFP means swing failure pattern. All right, guys. So I hope some of you guys made money on this trade by just fucking all you had to do was copy me. But hopefully you understand why I took the setup now. And why, in the midst of, is World War III about to start? Iran and the U.S. are bombing each other. peak fear are we taking a long? I took my initial long on Sunday. I longed on Sunday at 99,000 before the ceasefire and any of that shit even happened, because I was aware of this weekly fair value gap and this low getting run. I didn't even pay attention to the news. The news ended up giving us more volatility, and we got another entry on the lower time frame. But my setup, and I posted this on Twitter that I took within the Haven, I took it the day before any of this even happened, because we were waiting for this low to get run out. So don't try and apply external factors to the chart as the reason to why things happen, because you're never going to get ahead if you spend your entire time saying, well, the reason this happened is because of the ceasefire. Maybe the ceasefire accelerated this, for sure. It injected some volatility, but we were going for this low, and this was going to bounce before any of that even happened. So that's how you get into positions in advance of things happening, is you use the chart. If you're based on the news, you're going to be behind the 8-ball. You're going to be waiting, and you're going to be ascribing everything that happens to price. Be like, well, the reason this happened is because of the ceasefire. It's like, okay, well, you missed the move already. Like, you already missed the move. So we want to be, it's okay to be reactive, but we want to be looking for areas that price is going to potentially have a reaction. And it just so happens that oftentimes these areas are exactly where that news comes in, that volatility gets injected. Do you guys remember what happened here? Does anyone remember what happened here? Feels like forever ago. This was the peak tariff fear. This was the Trump had his little fucking board out saying, hey, we're putting fucking insane tariffs on all of these countries. Where did it occur? Right into demand. We had an SFP on the weekly right into that level within a weekly fair value gap. And you had effectively the exact same setup here. On the 12-hour. Within the weekly fair value gap and the weekly SFP, you had a 12-hour breaker. Where did this occur? This occurred right. This was like the worst point in time for the markets. Stocks were at 4,800. Trump was tariffing everybody. It seemed like it was going into a giga recession. But it was right at demand when that occurred. And the exact same setup, even on the lowest time frame here, go all the way down to the hourly. This is the exact same setup that I just showed you on the war dump there. There's your hourly breaker. Here's your SFP on the H12. Here's your market structure break. It's the same setup within a weekly fair value gap after a weekly sweep. All the same thing. Same thing that we just looked at up here. And why did this particular setup give this massive fucking reaction? Sure, the tariff, okay, there was a tariff pause. All of this stuff affects price. Of course it does. But the high time frame here was bullish. We were within weekly demand. Okay? Isaac, shut the fuck up. No one wants to hear you talk, bro. Putting you in timeout. TA stupid. It doesn't work. Then go do something else. Why are you watching the video? Fucking Muppet. Feels like an inverted head and shoulders. What does? ETH gave the exact same setup. Basically. Boozig says, main, I longed 98K, perfect execution, almost no drawdown, but I closed around 103. Why am I retarded when to close trade tips. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking some profit here. Like, this was definitely an area to take some profit, but you didn't have to close. You can leave some of the trade on, bring your stop to break even. But if your trade idea was 98K to 103K, you just caught a $5,000 move in like 24 hours. That's a pretty good trade, I would say. I wouldn't say that you're retarded. You made money. Any trade where you print is generally probably a pretty good trade. You could have let it ride a little longer, and if that's the case, okay, maybe you don't close the entire thing. Maybe you take partials. Maybe you trail up your stop. What's up, DJ Slumbo? Thanks, Yamate. So hopefully everyone understands why I took this setup, and you can see the relation between what went on down here and what went on here. This is peak war FUD right into weekly support. And then this was peak tariff FUD right into weekly support. Coincidence? I think not. Okay, so what's going to happen next? Shut up, online user 97. I'm never going to chart SUI ever now. So what do I think happens next for Bitcoin? I think is what makes the most sense. So let's look at the chart here. I would say this looks pretty fucking good. I don't really think that this is a bearish looking chart. I think this chart looks pretty decent. We just retested that weekly demand. It's pushing up. We're pretty close to all-time highs. Equities, pretty close to all-time highs. I mean, I think you have kind of two options here, okay? Option number one is if you're not long already, you wait to long a pullback or you long a breakout. So you wait for price to clear all-time high, and you just long the breakout, right? Or you look to long a pullback and you just assume either way, we're going to new all-time high. Option number two is we just remain range bound for the summer. So we actually are just literally within this range from like meh to meh. And we're going to, low, high, low, top out somewhere here, and we just do this for the summer, which is okay as well. Like, this is not bad. But so far, for the last month and a half, we've just gone sideways. World War III started and ended. All sorts of trade deals were made and then delayed and canceled, and price is literally just going sideways. So there's a world where this continues for the rest of summer, and then the actual move happens in the fall. I'm going to lean into the first camp. So, yes, there's a good chance that we likely remain range-bound. High odds, in my opinion, based on seasonality and those types of factors. That being said, based on the fact that we've had this ceasefire, now this Israel-Iran saga is over for the time being. I don't know. Maybe they break the ceasefire. Who fucking knows? I don't know. As Trump said, they don't know what the fuck they're doing over there. What a soundbite. Maybe that happens. But for now, there's a ceasefire. We've had this big reaction from weekly demand. I'm going to try and long more. So I think the next setup is here. I think the next setup is you had this weekly SFP. This 12-hour breaker here, I think this is the next long. We've got the structure shift now. So I would try and long something like this. And I would target, you know, fucking like 120. Like that's the next kind of big swing trade I'm looking for. Some sort of washout. We get some sort of pullback. That's the trade, I think. Maybe we don't come back that far. Like maybe we come back to here. Maybe we come back to here. And then I'll have to readjust. But on a high time frame, this is the kind of setup I think could happen here. We get a nice like over-under basically. And hopefully just fucking finally rip it. You know, finally put in like a proper new all-time high. Because if you remember, like this last all-time high break was pretty lackluster. Pretty lackluster, right? We failed to really hold above it. I want to see like a proper rip. So this would be the continuation play in my opinion. There's no reason we should go back below this low if we're going to make a new all-time high. If we go back below this low, I think we take out all of this and we go towards the yearly open, which is like down here. So I'm willing to take a punt on some sort of pullback here, clear invalidation, much higher prices. So that's the setup I'm looking for. Now, what are the other potential scenarios? It's the ranging scenario, right? If we get a range, very simply, I would just view that as we come back up towards the range highs here. Maybe that's happening right now, you know? Maybe we take out this high and then we just come back down and then we bounce from where I want us to bounce, but then we just don't make new all-time highs and we just continue to go sideways. That's completely possible. You got to be nimble, right? If I get an entry here, I will take profit on some of it near the range high just in case we keep ranging and it doesn't actually break out. Now, what's the bear? But like to me, it's like, I don't know, bro. I feel like one more, then maybe it finally breaks. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. That's the bullish hopium. What's the potential bearish scenario? Any sort of rejection. So if I don't think this would, you know, if we get back below this high and it looks ugly, potentially there. If we sweep this high and it looks ugly, you could potentially short. If we sweep this high or the all-time high, any of these highs, if we deviate them and get back below, that's your short setup. No different than like right here, right? Took it above, back below, that's your short setup. It's the inverse of this. Got below the low, got back above, you long it. Invert this chart. If we take out this high and then get back below, it's just the inverse of this. Trade it back into the range. I don't know if Isaac's trying to rage bait me or not, but I'm just going to ban him from the channel because I don't think you're clocking, Isaac. I'm standing on business, okay? I don't think that's clocking to you. I'm in my office with my dog, and we're just standing on business here. And I don't think you're clocking that. I don't think you're clocking what I'm saying. Either way, I hope you stub your toe on a coffee table, and I hope it really fucking hurts. All right, so hopefully everyone has a very good understanding of what I think can happen for Bitcoin and my game plan, because I quite literally just showed you stop, entry, target, exactly the setup I'm looking for. So if you can't interpret that, you might be like Isaac. And I know Isaac's mother, and she drank a lot while she was pregnant. Like, I'm talking a lot. And Isaac suffers something called fetal alcohol syndrome. So we got to be very, very nice because he's literally operating with less of a brain than the rest of us, right? So here's kind of the thing, right? So the telltale signs. If you know Isaac, you know this is him. He's got a very thin upper lip. He's got a low nasal bridge. His ears, they're abnormal. He's got an epicanthal fold, right? He's got short palpebrial fissures. I mean, these are just standard things. This is actually a picture of Isaac when he was a baby. And as you can see here, thin upper lip, small eye openings, smooth philtrum. These are just all signs that Isaac's mom was hitting the booze hard while she was pregnant with him. I'm talking all the time, drinking, smoking, drug use. The term crack baby, it actually refers to babies who come out of the womb addicted to crack because their mother was doing crack while pregnant. Isaac's also a crack baby. So it's understandable that he doesn't understand what we're talking about here. It takes, a fully developed brain, and he wasn't as lucky as us. And, it actually makes me tear up a little bit because I just feel so fortunate that, my mother wasn't drinking when I was pregnant. I came out normal, and so many of us did. And just, there's people out there like Isaac who have to go through their day-to-day life. They have to go through their day-to-day life being retarded. And I just feel for them, man. I feel for them because it's got to be tough. Like, imagine, just trying to do something as simple as grocery shopping and just being that retarded. You're like, what do I even buy, dude? He just leaves there with just a bunch of random assortment of shit. He can't even, nothing to even cook. He doesn't even know how to turn the stove on. What's he cooking anyways? I mean, it's just terrible. It's just terrible. Anyways, Isaac, we're praying for you. Look at the chat. Everyone in here is praying for you. And we hope you get the help that you need. We really do. We really do. Okay, so that's Bitcoin covered here. Let's go over ETH now. So ETH, I think, very similar. It front ran my level a little bit. So I wanted to see ETH come down and tag this demand. And I still think that it can, but it didn't make it all the way there. So it front ran it a little bit. So I didn't have the same setup on ETH in terms of the weekly SFP or anything like that I did on Bitcoin. That being said, Ethereum did have an H12 sweep and then an H1 entry, the exact same as Bitcoin, right? And again, I posted this on Telegram. There's your breaker. There's your MSB. So same setup on the low time frame. It just didn't have as nice of a weekly setup, but that's okay. Now ETH, I think, is at a very interesting spot here. So I'm gonna just delete this shit for a moment here. We're kind of reclaiming this range, right? So it's attempting to reclaim this range here, and if we can hold here or even pull back a little bit, but hold this low, I don't see why this doesn't trade back towards the range highs if we're bullish. So this is a big time range. This is definitely something that you want to pay attention to on Ethereum. It is in a weekly fair value gap, but the fair value gap's huge, guys, right? It goes from 2,300 to 1,800. That's just really big. So I wanted to zoom in, right? And I want to be looking at the lower time frame here. So similar to Bitcoin, right? Whereas I said, hey, maybe we come back to 102, 103 down to 100 and then up again. The equivalent move on ETH, in my opinion, is somewhere around here. And then if it's able to hold within this range, there's your stop, there's your entry. That's the type of setup I would be looking for on ETH if we get a bit of a pullback, right? So a little bit of a rejection here, bit of a pullback, then maybe we trade back within this range. So it's attempting to hold it now. And if it holds it, right, and we're just bullish in here, fantastic. But if we fall down below this range, this is where I would take a stab at it. Right around 22, let's give me the exact numbers here. I'd say right around 2230 up to about 2,300. This kind of breaker block right here. That's where I'd be looking. Okay? Notice how when I give Isaac the attention he so desperately wanted by trying to rage bait me and I just eviscerate him, he just shuts the fuck up. It's incredible. CG, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Anyways, so that's my game plan for ETH. I think that if ETH goes up again back within this range, we probably end up taking this high. Like, you know, so maybe it's this, and then this. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if the summer just ends up like remaining gay, dude. Like, you know, maybe we come up here, come back down here. You know, like who knows? Maybe we literally could do this, right? We could run up here and then we could come down and take out this low. But as I tell you guys in every video, trying to predict these 4 or 5 moves is irrelevant. Like, let's just try and figure out the next move, right? What's the next move? And ideally for me, the next move on ETH is a long, and I would like to try and long it here. So if I can get that, I'm happy camper. No different than this trade, right? That was available here. It's just one move. Don't worry about what happens after. Just one. If you made money on this Bitcoin move, right, from here to here, you cashed out, you took your profit, now it's on to the next trade. It's not, hey, the other 5 squiggly lines that I drew, are those going to work out? Who cares, dude? We're a sniper, right? Take your shot, reload, recalibrate. If Bitcoin does this now, and then this again, I don't care that I didn't short it here and then long it here. My trade was from here to here. Now the next trade I'm looking for is here. If we don't come here, I'm looking for a new setup. So it's going to make your lives a lot easier when you start getting to a point where you are deciding what you're looking for. You are dictating the setups, right? You're dictating the setups. It's not reactionary. It's, I want to trade at this level. I want to trade this setup, right? Whether it's price action, whether it's moving averages, whatever it is, I know exactly what my risk is. Okay? I know exactly what my reward is. You are entirely in control of this entire process. Right? You're determining where you want to trade, how you're going to trade it, what you're going to risk, what you can make. How much better is your mental, your psychology going to be in a trade when you get to decide all these things? As opposed to price comes here and you go, oh fuck, I'm scared, I longed, oh I went too much size, I'm not super confident in this trade, and then you're freaking out. You're oversized, you don't love the level, there's the war shit going on, you're not confident. That's when you get FOMO. That's when you close trades early. That's when you get greedy, when you're not in control. But if you control as much of the process as possible, you are going to have a way better time sticking in trades, trusting your system, executing when the time comes. Executing a long during peak war FUD is scary. Executing along during the beginning of what we thought was going to be the recession because Trump's tariffing the world is scary. But when you are in control, you know all of the variables that are possible to know. Obviously, there's unknowns. Anything can happen. But if you say, this is how much I make if I'm right, This is how much I make if I lose. This is why I'm entering the trade. This is where my entry goes. This is where my stop goes. This is where my target is. All of those things line up. You're stacking the deck in your favor as much as possible. Think of it as playing poker perfectly. Based on the cards you're dealt, the cards on the table, you play your hand as best you can. Does it change the fact that your opponent might have pocket aces and you have kings? There's certain things out of your control. But if you've played it to the best of your ability, it's way easier to live and die with the result because you know you did your job. This is true in life in general, right? If you know that you are doing your best, you did your job, you did what you had to do, you sleep like a baby at night. If you say, fuck, I ate like shit today, I skipped the gym, I was supposed to take my girl out. Let's be honest, you don't have a girl, but imagine, right? You were supposed to take her out. You didn't do that and you were just a big piece of shit. You don't feel very good. You don't feel like you accomplished very much. This is no different, dude. Stack the deck in your favor. Make sure as many things that you can control, you can control. All right, so we'll look at Solana, and then I'm going to look at equities, and then I will go to the chat because I know some of you guys have requested me to look at some coins. If you've been getting chopped up to hell the last couple days, maybe you shouldn't be trading right now, right? Like, there's a skill in knowing which conditions you're able to trade in and which ones you're not able to trade in. And stepping away from the market is sometimes important. Like, you don't need to trade right now. You can wait for price to be doing this again, dude. Like, right now, objectively, we're kind of in a choppy, arguably even a downtrend here. At best, we're going sideways. At worst, we're in a downtrend, right? You can wait for this. You don't have to trade this bullshit. You don't have to trade this bullshit. You can simply wait for price to do this. You can wait for price to do this. You don't have to trade this. And this is kind of where we are right now. Like, you do not have to trade these conditions if you don't want to. You probably, many of you would be better off waiting until we break through all-time high. Like, if we get a big, strong close through all-time high again, there's a good chance that we're going to have another expansive leg. Trade that. Why are you frustrated about this? Why are you worried about this if this is potentially coming, right? And you could, worst thing you do is you lose a bunch of your money that you made here, you lose it here, and then when price is ready to do this again, you're less confident and you have less money. Right? Okay. Let's look at Solana. So a lot of these altcoins are in downtrends. So we have to be aware of that. Solana is one of them. Like, we've had this massive price appreciation here, but on anything lower than the monthly, structure is bearish. That being said, monthly is still bullish. So we're going to mark that out. Go down to the weekly. This is the best looking chart for Solana, in my opinion, if this is going to go up, because at the current moment in time, the weekly failed to break higher and then it broke down. Okay. So that to me is like, okay, reversal. This is potentially a lower high. But because we have this monthly low here, I think you can be bullish on Solana on this pullback, assuming this holds. Like, this is basically the last point in time where we can put in a higher low, or else we're trading fucking like down to here. And that's very ugly. So I actually think this chart on Solana, the weekly here, looks quite interesting as a retest. for a higher low. Like, this is my bias for Solana, is that this is, if this was your entry, this is your stop. Right? So how does that dictate to us on the lower time frame? Well, if I believe that this is a bullish weekly order block, I can now zoom in and say, okay, is there a setup here on the lower time frame? Well, we had an H12 sweep there. We have an H12 breaker right here, but we had an H12 sweep here. So it's a little choppy, low time frame. I think similar to ETH, similar to Bitcoin, I think if Solana comes down to here, I would try and long it, right? So what's this on a pullback? 5%. What's Bitcoin back to here? 5%. So maybe a little more, maybe a little deeper, but it's around the same area here, right? Is like mid to low 130s is where I'd like to long Sol with my stop down here. And this is the same setup that Bitcoin and ETH had, by the way, right here on the War FUD. So let me just clean this up so it's a little bit easier to read. Here's your H12 SFP. Okay. This big gray box is a weekly breaker block, bullish one. And then this is an H12 SFP. We could absolutely bounce from right here. So if we get some sort of like move into this zone, because this is a H12 breaker. If we get some sort of move like this, I think you could long it, like right there with your stop there. Just basically you're trading. This is its own little range. Like, I would ignore all those other levels. Here's a range here. If we get a deviation and back in, I think you could take a long. This is probably Monday's range, if I had to guess. Pretty close. Oh, Monday's low is way down there. But yeah, if we get something like that, I think that's a potential setup. Otherwise, if Bitcoin's going to pull back, I like the idea. Get rid of that. I like the idea of longing down here again in this area. 130-ish for precision. But this is like 136. This is down to like 132. But the stop goes down there. So if Bitcoin comes back to 103, if Ethereum comes back to 2250, I think Solana in the mid 130s is the equivalent level. And then it's up to you. Which one would you want to long? Do you want to long Bitcoin? Do you want to long ETH? Do you want to long Sol? How do you decide? Well, look at ETH versus Bitcoin. Look at Sol versus Bitcoin. Look at Sol versus ETH and determine which one of those you think is going to give you the best setup. And that's the one that you take. So that's my game plan for the big three. Is this has been a sick, gnarly pump. I hope that the Trump-related tweeting out about ceasefires, fucking tariffs, I hope that we're slowly moving away from this headline risk trading, because I think it's quite gay. I hate the idea that a tweet comes out and, you know, price fucking nukes. And it's super reactionary. I don't like it. So I'm hoping that we move into a period where it's just kind of more regular. It's not as news headline focused. That being said, anything can happen. Trump is liable to say fucking anything. So you got to be aware of that. Okay, so I have a hard stop in 14 minutes. I sound like a businessman. He's a businessman. So I'm going to look at a few coins here. Generally, people want me to look at hype coin and fart coin. So we'll add those to the list. Someone said NVIDIA. Someone said Cardano. Bro says he low-key spitting. I'm high-key spitting, my guy. Okay, SPX 6900. Murad's in the chat. What about you, Isaac? What do you want to see? Isaac, are you there? Sound it out, buddy. Just type it on the keyboard. Use your fingers. Use your fingers. Some of these suggestions are so gay. All right, we'll do, someone said Euro USD. You're crazy. Okay, we'll do TLT for my boy AZTV. We'll do, say, Sui, Ave, and we'll do Pengu. All right, that's it, guys. That's the list. That's the list. We can do coin as well. Fuck it. And we'll do Robinhood because I called the bottom on Robinhood, which means I'm the goat, the goatest of goats. And we'll do from Twitter. We'll do Link. You guys just love the most retarded coins. Okay, we'll do Link. Okay, that's the list, guys. And then I gotta dip. I'm doing intermittent fasting right now, and we're getting into my eating window. And I haven't eaten yet today, and I'm getting hangry. All right, we're gonna hammer through these. No more suggestions. Okay, so I deleted the list. Okay, here we go. We'll start with hype. Yeah, I mean, I think the two key levels on hype are there and there. Okay, and this is the old all-time high, right? If we get back below 35, I think that's not good, and we probably take these lows out. So I don't really want to see us back below 35 for any significant period of time. So if hype's going to go up, I think you want to see it, you know, around 35, maybe slightly below, but not for any significant period of time. You could have your stop down here and you would target new all-time high, and that would give you a good enough RR just to there, I think. Alternatively, if it's able to get back above 40, if it gets back above 40, I think you can start looking to just like break out long this thing towards the highs. All right, hype is done. Man, my allergies are so bad. Okay, hype is done. We're now doing fart coin. So hype is done. Fart coin. I mean, this thing's just in a range. Like, it's just in a range between this high and this order block here. Like, you could even argue like that low. So I would just continue to treat this as range bound, to be honest with you. Like, we got the sweep here. This is the same setup as Bitcoin, the same setup as ETH, the same setup as Sol. If we come down here, right? I don't know. What is this level? Let me give you a level here. If we come down to like 90 cents, which we're approaching quite quickly, but it's another 10% lower. Like, you could try and long that. But again, if Bitcoin is down, Bitcoin's not even down today. Bitcoin's up, and hype is down, or Fartcoin is down, almost 4%. And Bitcoin is, barely down anything. So the risk you run here is if Bitcoin pulls back to 103, is hype goes through this low, right? Down here is only another 10%, not even. So if Bitcoin's really strong, I think you could try and long Fartcoin here. Otherwise, if Bitcoin trades below, like to that lower support level, so 103, etc., I think there's a very good chance that this makes a new low. And then we look for some sort of trade like this, right? Where it makes a new low and then you trade the reclaim. It would be the same thing here. So if Bitcoin trades to 103, I would look to long something like this on Fartcoin, which is just the exact same as this here. Makes a new low, reclaims it, it bounces. Makes a new low, reclaims it, it bounces. But for now, this is lower lows and lower highs. Right? So just be very aware. Worst case scenario for hype. Worst case scenario is it goes to 0 and then you die. That's probably the worst case scenario. Or the worst case scenario is you own a ton of hype. It goes to 1,000 per coin, but you die. Those are probably the worst case scenarios, I'd say. They mostly involve you dying. If you don't die, I don't think any scenario is that bad. Bring out the footprint chart. Buddy, you're on the wrong website for that. Okay, hype's done. Fart's done. Nvidia. I might have made too many charts. I might have picked too many charts. Nvidia just made a new all-time high. Wow. Wow. What can I say? We had this monthly demand here, took out the low, and then it just straight lined up. Now, what was the trade idea here, right? It's the all-time high level. There's your all-time high level. Failed to hold, sold off. Right now, we held. We're holding above that all-time high level. So, assuming it's able to hold above here, I think it looks pretty decent. I think you can probably put a new level up here now. Right? Like, if it deviates this level, maybe some mean reversion. But for now, I'm not saying you fade this, but if we deviate here, I think you can probably try and long it here. Something like that. But damn, new all-time high. GG to whatever his name is. All right, Cardano. Thank you, Swifty. Appreciate you, bro. Cardano, Bobano. I think this coin is gay. What is this? You know your boy Maine was dunking on someone on stream back in 2021 who was probably in the video or on Twitter talking shit, and then I found his Twitter account. And I was like, you joined April 2021. How's that going for you? Because he joined at the top. Let's see if this guy still exists on Twitter, just for fun. This just shows you 4 years later, I haven't grown up at all. Viverantic. Okay, he's got a new picture. And what is he talking about here? He still has Cardano. He still has Cardano in his bio. But now he's got WMTX as well. So he still says Cardano for the win. And Hype's overbought. He says, hey, man, I'm just glad he's still here. You know, he stuck it out. He made it to a new bull run. That being said, I mean, he missed the entire bull run by holding Cardano. But, hey, you can't win them all. Anyways, what do I think about Cardano? I don't know. I think this coin's stupid. And I think if you hold it, you've been underperforming almost everything. But, you know, maybe that's not even that true. Like, where's the bottom here? This is the bottom. So at one point, this thing was up 400%. So, you know, maybe I'm being a little too hard on Cardano. It's had some pumps. But I do think the chart looks a little meh. I think there's... You know, these lows look very suspicious to me, don't they? To you? So that to me, like, these lows look oddly suspicious. So for me, just looking at this objectively, forgetting that it's Cardano, if we get some sort of run below those lows into that weekly fair value gap, that becomes an interesting setup to me with like a target of here. But these seem suspicious. Like for it to triple bottom off of this very kind of exact low makes me think that, you know, it's going to break and then the reclaim is the actual long that you want to take. So there's that. Okay, on to the next. SPX 6900 for the boy Murad. So it failed to make a new all-time high. Had a crazy rally. Crazy rally here. Let's see if we can get a nice level. I think this is like a very easy idea here. So if you want to long this thing, I think you are aiming for a higher low, like in here somewhere. Or if it breaks through this and it reclaims 150, I think you just break out long. And you hope that it goes up like 50% very quickly. So that's what I'd be looking for. It's into resistance here. If it comes down towards $1.05 to $1.10, you know, into that area there, I think that's an interesting potential long. This is similar to hype, right? Where depending on how Bitcoin behaves, if Bitcoin pulls back a little bit, I think this is the long, right? If Bitcoin pulls back a lot, like to 102, I think this becomes the long. So that's what I'm watching. You got to use Bitcoin as kind of the barometer. But if it flips this, I think it just goes up. Oh, man. What have I gotten myself into? I got to go faster, guys. I'm so late. I'm so hungry. My tummy's rumbling. Jelking's going well, boys. TLT. I think if you're bullish on this thing, if it flips this, if it flips that level, it goes up. Because then you have a monthly sweep. This would be a weekly structure break, weekly breaker. Like, that's the bull case for this chart. The bear case is that this is just going to eventually roll over again. It's just kind of consolidating here. But I'd be willing to take a stab on the long side if it were to break that. You're in all shorts right now. Okay. A big pullback is 102. I mean, relatively to the move we just had. Yeah, I'm simply talking about if we pull back like this, like we're just going to pull back to here and then go again. Or if we have a larger correction, which is down to here, 5-6%, lots of altcoins are going to go down double-digit percentages. Come on, Matt. You know better. You've been here long enough. I know 14 minutes already happened, but I'm still here because I love you guys. Okay, TLT done. We're going to have to go way faster now. Hyperdrive for the last handful here. Say it ain't so. All right, high or low attempted here. I'd basically be watching the weekly close. I don't even know what day it is, Wednesday. As long as the weekly close doesn't close as like a big, ugly SFP, I think you buy dips. If it closes as a big, ugly SFP, then a little more gay, a little less cool. Support is there. 20 cents. So if it closes strong, any sort of decent pullback here, I think you look to long. Okay, Sui was the next one. Some very nice drawings I had there, clearly. Yeah, I mean, anytime you see something like this, dude. See how I had that big wick there? So now if you're on the low time frame here, this is the same setup that we have on ETH. It's the same setup that we have on Sol. It's the same setup that we have on Hype. Any sort of pullback here, right? Whether it's shallow or it's a larger pullback, this is your invalidation. This is just your invalidation. So if we're going to pull back deeper, there's your stop. Low time frame. This is probably a pretty decent range to trade here. So deviations above, back in, you could probably short. If we run below here and reclaim, you could probably long. Otherwise, I think I like it down towards 250 again. Again, and this is all based on the thesis that I think this move on Bitcoin, like, I don't know, this price action's kind of weird looking, is, you know, we do this. And that will give us all of these alt setups. If we don't do this, none of those alt setups are going to hit, and that's okay. New plan, new setup. Don't stress. You got to remember, like, if we caught this move already this week, you could be done for the week. If you're like, oh, now things are choppy, I don't know, great. I'm going to wait for the next high probability setup. To me, this was a high odds trade. Now, less odds here. Ave. I fucked myself by suggesting I'd do this many coins. Never listening to you guys again. I'm getting DM'd right now being like, he's like, bro, the call started 20 minutes ago. It's like, well, I made a promise to friends, and I don't break my promises. Not now, not ever. Okay, so this had a really nice high time frame setup here. On the lower time frame, it's like, again, so many alts are doing this exact same thing right now. Every alt we've looked at is basically doing this. So now what are we asking? Is this going to make a lower low and continue downtrending, or is this going to put in a higher low and we're actually in the point of reversal? So similar to every other altcoin we've looked at, if we get a decent pullback on Bitcoin, 230 to 240-ish, stop at the low. If we get a big pullback on Bitcoin, I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these coins take out their lows, and then we look to long reclaims. Does TA work on meme coins? Yes. I would argue that TA works even better on meme coins because oftentimes some of these meme coins are traded by like way less sophisticated participants. Breakout on Bitcoin. I can't believe you made me just waste my time to come look at this Bitcoin chart. Like, this thing has just been doing this weird little grind up for the last 48 hours. This is not a breakout. A breakout would be like this. It did not break out a little bit, you guys. We're still trading below the daily high. That's the high of the day. Are you guys retarded? Is there a bunch of Isaacs in here? Yeah, if anything, this looks like a TWAP. Yeah, whatever his fucking first name is, but Pomp buying Bitcoin with fucking treasury money is not bullish, in my opinion. It might be bullish short term, but I don't like that at all. Pomp's a retard. Anyways, I've really got to go to this call, guys, so I've got to dip. And I haven't eaten. I will do these 3 coins next video, I promise, which will be on Friday, okay? So I hope everyone had a good day. I hope you learned something. I hope you made some money on those longs on Monday. You ungrateful fucks, send me some tips. And if you don't want to send me some tips, like the guy who bought a fucking Aventador, never given me $1, but has an Aventador, nicer car than I have. But yeah, if you want to support your boy, you know how to do it. All the links in the description. Breakout, fucking ref links, all the bullshit that I use. Check it out below, The Haven, okay? Love you guys. Talk to you on Friday. Stay safe, be well. Peace out.